So large investments in infrastructure form a central pillar in government's economic recovery plan. But the plan faces stiff challenges in actually getting off the ground. Head of Infrastructure and Investment in the Presidency, Kgosientso Ramokgopa, says the quality of work delivered is also problematic. Let's bring in Dr. Ramokgopa now, who joins us for more on this story. It's great to have you with us on the show on what is such an incredibly important story. And actually, from your vantage point, the problem here isn't a lack of investments. It's actually a lack of the state's ability to deliver on projects.
Yes, good morning, Michelle, and thanks for the invitation. Good morning to your viewers. Absolutely, yes. I think this is both a structural and systematic problem, and it's well documented. So we know that over a period of time, the state has hemorrhaged a significant technical and financial engineering capacity. And therefore, the design of infrastructure projects are not of a quality that it is desired. And also, the delivery of that infrastructure, once you have the contractors on board and you are able to complete the procurement process, you find that the monitoring of the quality of the delivery of the asset is also suspect. And then it goes further in relation to maintenance. You find that the state does not apply significant or requisite resources to ensure that we maintain the asset for the productive life of that infrastructure. And that's why it's not an uncommon in the country to find that the infrastructure is disintegrating. I mean, things like wastewater treatment plants, water treatment plants, potholes. You ran a series here on Newzroom, just illustrating the kinds of service delivery failures. And this has to do with the fact that the state has hemorrhaged that capacity over a period of time. And also, if you are to do an analysis, what we call a longitudinal analysis, essentially a study of the investment in the public sector infrastructure, you find that there has been underspent from one year to the other. If you were to look at the medium-term expenditure framework, I think over the past 3 years, the average underspend comes to about 40 billion rands per annum. And again, that's a combination of a multiplicity of factors, both subjective and objective. And that's something that we are focusing our attention on to ensure that we bolster state capacity. So in the immediate, what we are doing is to work with the private sector, because there's significant capacity that resides in the private sector. And the private sector has got the commercial motives to see to it to the delivery of this asset, because they are going to benefit directly from this delivery of assets, be it from the financing side or from the construction side. So we've got a significant capacity that has been seconded to our office. So these are people with extensive financial and engineering technical capability. A number of them are already in retirement, so they are sitting with us. But what we are doing is to introduce a new layer of a competent and capable bureaucracy. So we are shadowing them with the young people who are from the built environment, so that they are able to transfer those skills. The youngsters can accumulate those skills, so that in the next 3 to 5 years, we are able to stand on our own. So it's going to be a gradual process. It has to be meticulous and deliberate. And that's the work that we are doing in the office, so that we ensure that the target of reaching 1 trillion rands of infrastructure investments in the next 4 years gets to be realized.
I mean, this is a massive problem, isn't it, given that our entire recovery is infrastructure-led, Dr. Ramokgopa?
Oh yes, it's massive. I mean, you go to various provinces, you experience the same problems, and of course now the focus is on local government. I'm sure when you do town halls discussions, you find that the communities are complaining about the crumbling of this infrastructure. I must say that the metros have fared fairly well because of their capacity, their financial resources, and of course the kind of incentives they're able to offer to experts and bureaucrats to come and occupy positions at the metro level. because, like I said, the incentive package are attractive, the quality of living in those spaces is attractive. We've got quality schools, the kind of amenities that are there. So your well-experienced professionals are at home to work in the metro areas. Your major problem is in what we call secondary cities and far-flung rural areas. Of course, if you are an experienced engineer, you aspire to a certain quality of life. You want your kids to go to good quality schools. You want to have access to great amenities, the quality of life. And of course, we know that it is varied in those far-flung rural areas. In some instances, you don't have a good quality water, reticulation is absent. You don't have wastewater treatment works or ablution facilities. So you find that professionals are unlikely going to be attracted to those spaces. And that's why you find that the vacancy rate is significantly higher in those areas. We're talking about engineers, who could be talking about CFOs and well-experienced municipal managers. So to resolve that problem, what we are doing in the office is to put up what we call a project management office. So we're going to aggregate these skills in the office so that we offer transversal functions. So it shouldn't be the burden of the municipality to get that kind of expertise. We'll make it available as and when. We already know where the pressure points are. So we'll be attacking those pressure points, because our view is that communities in those localities should not be casualties of an absence of a qualified bureaucracy. So the state has got a responsibility to ensure that it invests in the required resources to deliver on good quality infrastructure, so that the constitutional injunctions of universal access, good quality life, gets to be distributed fairly or equitably across the country. So you find that the concentration of good quality lives, amenities in relation to roads, water, energy, or if you like, infrastructure in its broad sense, gets to be celebrated and gets to be delivered in your more metro areas. So the people in the far rural areas, far-flung local municipalities, they are not experiencing as people who are living in the urban areas are. So it's important that we are able to address that question. Of course,
Dr. Ramokgopa, can I come in there for a second and just ask you about the education issue? You talked about, in 3 to 5 years, because at the moment, as you say, we've, through organizations like Business Leadership South Africa and the Association for Savings and Investment, they've made available these mostly retired technical and financial engineering experts, about 20 of them. So instead of bringing these people out of retirement for the purposes of being involved in some of our infrastructure programs, what are our long-term plans for education, for attracting children from school level, into those streams where they can eventually end up going to university? Do we have plans enough at school level to get more people into the field?
Oh, Michelle, you don't have a problem of a pipeline of engineers that are graduating from TVET colleges, that are graduating from universities. So that's not your problem. The problem you have is that once they graduate, they don't get the necessary opportunity to work on complex engineering projects. So to design a dam, to design a bridge that can be 100 meters of span. You don't have qualified cost engineers to be able to run a model of what is required for you to finance a bridge that is complex. So your issue is not the pipeline. The issue you have is the opportunity that has to be extended to them. But also you can't just throw them into the lion's den and say, go and design these complex projects. So they have to learn, so you have the qualification, but you must still accumulate the experience, and you must accumulate that experience on the back of people who have done it before.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the issue for now in the immediate is not that. So we're pairing them with these experts, and that's why I'm talking of 3 to 5 years, because it takes a long time for you to produce a professional engineer. So once you qualified, you are not a professional engineer. You are a qualified engineer, and then a qualified graduate, a graduate engineer, and then you have to go through a process of mentoring, and then you go to meet the requirements of the body that regulates the engineering sector, and then you become a professional engineer. But for you to transition from an engineering graduate to a professional engineer, you need to be exposed to these fields, and that's a situation that requires attention. And of course, it is an important question that you are raising to say, but going into the future, and yes, we'll go into universities. I think part of the components of our national infrastructure plan is to work with the Department of Science and Technology and Higher Education so that we are able to ensure that the pipeline of graduates in these fields continues to be replenished, but it also brings on board new forms of delivery of infrastructure. It could be artificial intelligence, machine learning, because that's the new era of how you design school buildings, how you build dams and roads, complex engineering structures. So it's important that we continue that pipeline. But like I said, it's a combination of the immediate, because as I speak to you now, there are some of your viewers who don't have water as we speak. Some of your viewers now will tell you that there's sewer flowing on their roads. So it is important that we attack the existing problems, which are immediate, so that we improve the quality of life as we plan for the future. So if you like, these are the twin tracks. Just do them now, so that you are able to build confidence, you are able to improve this quality of life and continue to produce a pipeline of new generation of engineers who are going to use the new tools for purposes of design and delivery of this infrastructure.
Dr. Kgosientso Ramokgopa, let me thank you for your time this morning. Is the Head of Infrastructure and Investment in the Presidency. Really just a lack of capacity that's undermining state infrastructure plans. Thanks very much indeed for your time.